Greetings, friends. Greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time zone might be. Delighted to be with you, to feel your presence spread spatially, but the same temporal time, the same temporally, same time, but spread in space. So today, day 2 of our exploration of the refrain of Satipatthana Sutta, which you've been studying thoroughly and systematically with Gil. So what I'd like to offer today and invite us to explore is so yesterday I tried to set the frame a little bit. I set the frame a little more today about the importance and the significance of the refrain, and then we'll explore the first sentence of it. And I like to invite us to explore this first statement, this significant first statement in our practice together also. So the first sentence in the frame is, in this regard, in this way, in regard to the body, one abides contemplating the body internally, or one abides contemplating the body externally, or one abides contemplating the body both internally and externally. So I will decode that. I'll talk more about that in the Dharmette, but in the guided meditation, I'd like to bring in some invitations for us to explore this invitation of internal, external together in one aspect. Not every teaching of the Satipatthana, there's so many of them, but one of them, or maybe a couple of them, to have a taste of what this might feel like and what might mean. So without further ado, let's sit, let's practice together. So let's arrive. Let's arrive in this body, in the seat, landing, arriving comfortably. Arriving in our seat, in this body. Releasing whatever is not helpful right now or supportive, releasing thoughts, releasing plans for the future, or preoccupations from this morning. Releasing, not out of a should, but releasing because of love, because we love to do this. We love to practice. We love to cultivate our heart in peace and kindness for ourselves and others. To cultivate insights. So out of love, releasing. And relaxing into the body. Relaxing here. This body. When the body is relaxed, the mind can relax more easily. So relax the body. If there's any tightness or holding anywhere, releasing. with the out breath. And taking refuge in this moment. The simplicity, the beauty of our intention here in our hearts, here. Let's take a few minutes to arrive in the body, releasing, relaxing, taking refuge together. And if thoughts arise, entanglements arise, release. Release and return. Release and return to this moment here. No need for self-judgment, beating yourself up. Oh, I was gone for so long. No need. No need. Just release. Release. Ah, and come back to the refuge of this heart in this moment. Begin again. Begin again. Relax into the body. Feeling the breath in the body internally. This life-giving breath. The entirety of the in-breath, the pause, the entirety of the out breath, the pause. The entirety of the breath, felt, sensed, clearly known, clearly known, clear comprehension. In this body, without making it effortful, let it be known. Let it be known, the breath. This breath internally. The breath internally, this life-giving breath. Throughout the body, nourishing, bringing life. The breath being sensed and known. And taking one more moment to really grok, to really know, let it be known, capture the sensation of the breath in this body internally. As if it were your first breath or your last breath. The breath known internally. Now relax, release, and bring to mind, let's first bring to mind someone maybe who's near and dear to you, you have an easy relationship with. And let their breath be known, this external breath be known to you. They breathe just like you, this human being. As you know your breath internally, knowing this breath externally by this other human being. Life-giving breath. How it might feel for them. You can even, perhaps in your mind's eye, Imagine them breathing, seeing them breathing deeply, shallowly. And now expanding this external knowing of the breath to as many beings as you wish in your mind's eye. Many humans, all breathing. The breath known externally. And if it feels overwhelming, then just stay with one other being, one other human or animal breathing externally. And now exploring the instruction of knowing in the body internally and externally. As you know your own breath, this breath being known, let the body, the mind be relaxed. And knowing also externally, this other being in your mind's eye. The breath known internally and externally. No thinking, analyzing, just simply let it be known. As if perhaps you and your friend were breathing together, both breaths known internally and externally. Continuing to know the breath internally and externally. Maybe at some point, the personality of the breath drops out and it's just the breath. Not me, not mine, not internal, external. It's just breath, breathing happening. Internal, external, just breath. Don't try too hard. Just let it be known. First, internal, external. The insight might reveal itself on its own when the time is right. My breath, this breath, their breath, their breathing. May just become breathing. Breathing internally, breathing externally. Internally and externally. As we bring the sitting to a close, may the goodness of our practice together, all of us, in this moment in time, coming together, different places, and all the breaths, all the moments of awareness, all the dedication to goodness, cultivating goodness. Gifting, dedicating, offering this goodness generously to all beings everywhere who, just like me, just like us, breathe, depend on this breath to keep them alive. Especially those who live right now in areas that are not safe, in war zones. Wishing them safety, ease, and breathing in peace. May all beings be well. May all beings be free. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your practice. So today, at day 2 of exploring the refrain of the Satipatthana, which in some way is, I don't want to say more important, as important, is very important. So just to remind us of the refrain, I will put up the diagram from yesterday again. This is from Bhikkhu Analio's book, page 17. The name of the book is Satipatthana, The Direct Path to Realization. And it's also, I put this up on audio Dharma associated with this week's teachings, actually with yesterday's teaching, so you can look it up. So the refrain shows up, this important refrain shows up after every teaching, shows up 13 times. And just to say a little more about the significance and then focusing on the internal external that we've done today is so this refrain, as I mentioned yesterday, it both it expands each teaching. It does 3 things after each teaching, say after breathing, after postures, after activities, anatomical parts, elements, etc. It both adds a spatial aspect, which is internal, external, and it also adds a temporal aspect, which we'll discuss tomorrow, when because the refrain talks about arising and passing and arising and passing. So it brings a temporal time aspect to the study of the phenomena. And also what another thing that's significant about this, and I like to point out about the refrain, is that it is worded not with respect to the individual content. So after the section about, say, breathing, or actually let me put up this again so you can get a sense of it. Here we go. Okay, so like there are 6 sections for the body: breathing, postures, activities, etc. After the teaching, especially on breathing, the refrain goes back to the body, says the body. It talks about the body. After postures, it doesn't say postures. The wording refers to the body. So as I read, in this way, in regard to the body, one abides contemplating the body. It doesn't say, one abides like so there's something about, the bigger picture. It invites us to contemplate the bigger picture. So the idea here is, and let me stop the share here. Some commentators say that what is significant here about this going back and forth is that in each teaching, we focus on the content, but coming out, the practitioner is invited to study, to be aware, to be mindful of the general characteristics of the experience. And when we become aware of the general characteristics, not the detailed, not the thing itself, but the fact that it's internal, external, it's everywhere, and it arises and passes, we shift from a content, studying the content, to studying the general process. And when we study the general process, that's when insights about anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and impersonality, not self, pop out. And that's something I was gently inviting you to explore this morning, if it perhaps maybe for a split second popped out for you. And if not, no worries. When the mind is ready, the heart is ready, it will be seen. The insight will reveal itself. So I quote John Engler in this regard, who says, his opinion, not mine, but I think it's interesting to see it this way. He says, the reason Western meditators tend to progress more slowly than their Eastern counterparts is the tendency to become absorbed in the content of awareness rather than continuing to attend to its process, becoming preoccupied with individual thoughts, images, memories, sensations, etc., rather than keeping their attention focused on the essential characteristics of all psychophysical events, whatever the content. A tendency to confuse meditation with psychotherapy and to analyze mental content instead of simply observing it. And you know this, many of you know this already. It's not so much about the content, it's that the process, it's the arising and passing, and also this internal, external, which is often not taught or emphasized. So I want to focus now, after taking more time to set the frame, the importance of the refrain, left over from yesterday, what I wanted to say. Today, I want to now speak more about this first line, about this practice of internal, external, which again comes in after every teaching in the Satipatthana. Pretty wild, right? So the internal, external can be applied to every aspect. And in fact, in the commentaries, in the Visuddhimagga, in the Path of Purification commentaries, especially, Um, the it is taught the internal, external for every aspect of the Satipatthana. So it could be applied to the breath, to the postures internally, and oh, just to say, internal here, of course, means our bodies. External in this case means other human beings or other beings, other beings. So observing our own breath, our posture, their posture, our bodily activities, theirs, body parts, elements, the cemetery contemplation, internally, externally, um, Vedana, mind states, as well as the aggregates. And I'll share with you a personal story here since we're talking about this. The first time I practiced this internal, external, I didn't even know this was part of the teachings years ago when I practiced with my teacher, Pak Sayadaw, who teaches very, very detailed Vipassana from the Abhidhamma and the Visuddhimagga. And my instructions for days was to contemplate the body part, the 32 body parts internally. First, internally. First, you do it internally until it becomes really, really, really clear. And then really clear until actually one feels that, wow, this body is just body parts. It's like sack of grain. It's just sack of grain, rice and this and that. It's just body parts. And then the instructions were to, okay, now externally, all other beings, not just humans, but where I was practicing, there were chipmunks and things like that. Oh, externally, the instruction was, oh, all beings, internally, externally, all beings too, body parts, just like me, just like me. And then start to see all beings walk, actually body parts starting to walk around, which is a very interesting way of seeing the world. We usually don't see that way, but it is just as valid to see any other way, just as valid to see any other way. There are all these body parts moving around. And then internally, externally, something pops out. Wow, the impersonality of this body, these body parts. So when we start Satipatthana, as I read, this line starts with contemplating the body internally. So first we do it internally to establish, to really get a sense, to establish also samadhi, concentration. The mind settles, and then it has the ability to go externally and investigate or see the same phenomena externally. And it's also said that external also could, for these various aspects, see, observing other people's postures, their facial expressions, their tone of voice, when you get to feelings and state of mind, for example. The next few weeks, you will be studying, say, state of mind and the dhammas, the aggregates, internally, externally, is a suitable practice for daily life, is a suitable practice because perhaps one issue that some people point out, or maybe they feel when they do a lot of internal practice, is they become too internalized. Like, oh, I'm just internal, like, don't bother me. I'm just practicing internal. Whereas the instruction is internal, external, internal, external, internal, external. So that we don't risk becoming self-centered and only aware of our own self and what's happening internally, but also open, aware of other people's feelings, body, behavior, and how our actions, how our words, actions, our internal state affect other people's state to become more aware of our impact on the world through this internal, external practice, internal, external. So the external practice is so important as here laid out as the second step. First internal, then external, observing the world, others, other beings, their state of mind, their state of breathing, etc. And then the third step, and this is so important, I want to say it again. The third part, the third phrase, when we're invited to the wording is, let me get the exact wording. One abides contemplating the body both internally and externally. One abides contemplating the body both internally and externally. And some commentaries say, since we can't do it at the same time, you go back and forth. Okay, that's one way. But another way, what happens actually is you notice yourself when you do internal and external, when you try to hold it together and even go back and forth. Wow, a sense of objectivity arises. It's just a body, is just a breath. The sense of subjective stance drops out, and an insight towards not self, towards this universality of whatever phenomena we're observing. The universality of the phenomena pops out. So it's not just the thing itself anymore. It's the universality of it that arises. I cannot emphasize how important these practices are. The refrain, the internal, external. So today, my invitation is, as you go through your day, through your life, daily life, practice external mindfulness, practice external awareness, both internal, what's happening internally, externally, what's happening externally for other beings, internal and external, and see what a different shift in stance that can be. And tomorrow we continue with the next sentence in the refrain, which has to do with impermanence, with arising and passing away, which is quite profound also. So thank you all. Thank you for your kind attention, for your dedication, for your practice. May you be well, and may you practice internally and externally. See you or feel you tomorrow. Be well.